Dias, happy Wednesday, happy 18th day of March, and according to 365 Tao by Deng Ming Dao, it is the 77th day of the year, and our word for today is fate. So how are you feeling this morning? Hopefully you're well rested. If you're sleeping really well lately, that's because, well, might not be because, but we are right around a new moon, which means it's very, very dark in the night sky, and according to the natural world, this is when the animals are, even the nocturnal animals, are the least active. As you probably have noticed with your sleep cycles and with the moon, when it's a full moon, there's obviously a lot of light in the night sky, more than usual, and so nocturnal animals are a little more active. You might find that it's more challenging for you to sleep around full moons, whereas a new moon, which is the cycle of the moon that we're in right now, the sky is very dark. You might not even be able to see the moon. If you do, it might be just a tiny little sliver. So hopefully you're having good sleep around this time. So a new moon is all about setting intentions because it's the start of a new cycle. So that can be something that you might want to think about right now, and perhaps for your journaling practice this morning, you might want to set an intention for this new cycle, for this new lunar cycle, for the new phase of the moon being the new moon. Just something to think about if you do track the moon as part of your journaling practice. I really recommend that you do that because, as we keep saying, everything in life is a cycle and everything in nature follows cycles, and that includes the moon. So if that's something that's of interest to you, I encourage you to mark that on your calendars and perhaps use that as a journaling prompt for today following our reading. So open up your books to page 77. Our word for today is fate. So let's see what 365 Tao has to say for us about that subject. Find a nice quiet and comfy place where you're not going to be disturbed for the next 15 minutes or so. Be here and now and present, and remember that you can always come back to your breath to help yourself do that. And let's see what the book has to say for us on the 77th day of the year on the subject of fate. Dispel time and you will dispel fate. Fate is the force that interferes with our lives, wrecking things at the worst moments. Yet what we call fate is nothing more than the consequence of our own actions. Ooh, that's a really deep thought right there. I'm going to reread that sentence. What we call fate is nothing more than the consequence of our own actions. Let's continue. Each time we act, we generate a chain of events that is tied to us completely. The faster we run from these links, the faster they follow us. They cannot be severed. Our every act binds us further. The operative element here is time. The events of the past are the curse. Beginning followers of Tao learn to manipulate past, present, and future. They learn how circumstances operate and seek to take advantage of that. More advanced followers of Tao eschew this process of manipulation. They obliterate all regard to past, present, and future as definitions in order to negate the concept of fate. In order to attain a state of being where there is no past to weigh upon the present and no future to be determined, followers of Tao must reach a profound merging with Tao. The follower then acts no differently than Tao would. There is no fate to oppose them, for they are existence, they are causality, they are Tao itself. Ooh, so that's a very interesting way to think about the concept of time, and as we kind of break it down into the past, the present, and the future. And even this morning, just before we started reading together, I said, bring yourself to the present, bring yourself to the here and now. And sort of based on this passage from today, the now, the present, is all that ever is. Right now is existing. This is reality right now. The past is already over. The future hasn't happened yet, and it might never happen. So the reality of the situation is now. And if you've ever read the book The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, which it's pretty popular, you might have heard of it. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. It's an incredible read. the premise of that entire book is that the only thing that exists is now, is the present moment. The future's hasn't happened yet. The past is done. So if the past is already over and the future hasn't happened yet, that means they don't exist. So why would you worry yourself or bother yourself with something that doesn't exist when you have right now, which is the present, which does exist, which is reality, which is the basis of all reality. And that's not to say that, yes, some bad things may have happened in the past that may have, set a chain of events in motion. As it says here, there's consequences to all of our actions. That's not to say, of course the past happened, and of course, there potentially will be a future. But those things don't actually exist in a tangible form right now. So that's kind of a lot to wrap your head around first thing in the morning. But being present, being here, being now, being conscious that this is reality at this given moment. The past is over, the future hasn't happened, so therefore they don't really exist. Right now is what exists, is a really wonderful way to live your life. But also you need to be conscious of the consequences of your actions as well. And that is something that you can do in the present moment right now. You can take a moment before you act and perhaps think about, okay, if I do this, what chain of events am I going to set in motion? Is this going to have a negative consequence in the future? Is this perhaps going to harm somebody outside of myself? It's really calling on you to really consider any actions that you take, because you are going to be bound to them, as it says here. But at the same time, don't put too much emphasis on the past, because the past doesn't exist. The only thing that exists is right now. So the choices that you make in the present right now are going to have consequences. So make sure the choices that you make are going to be a clean choice with, positive consequences, and no negativity that's going to come to you or anybody around you. Be conscious of what you're doing, act in the present moment, but also be aware that you don't want to set off any chain of events that could potentially harm yourself or harm others, either in the past or in the future. So lots to wrap your head around here right now, but it really just comes down to the fact that all we have is right now. The present moment is happening. So always bring your awareness and your consciousness back to the present, but be mindful that what you do in the present could potentially have actions that are going to, affect the past and the future. Kind of hard to wrap your head around, but I hope you get the gist of what I just said. So I invite you to reread this in your own time. I also really recommend that you read The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle if you haven't. It's an incredible read. And pull something out of here that resonates with you and write about it in your journal. As I said, we're also in a cycle of a new moon, so if there's any intentions that you'd like to set, today's a great day to do it. Thank you so much for being here for 77 days of the year, and I will check in with you tomorrow. Bye.